You've probably caught yourself in that cycle again, scrolling through a feed, looking at someone else's life, someone else's achievements, their body, their success, their relationships. And suddenly you feel less than, maybe just a little disappointed, maybe empty. Or maybe that familiar ache of envy or self-criticism starts bubbling up inside you, almost before you even notice it. What's really happening in your mind when you can't stop comparing yourself to others? Why does it feel like every glimpse into someone else's life pulls you away from your own worth? And most importantly, how can you break free from this hidden psychological trap? Today, we're going to explore the often invisible mechanics of comparison, why it feels automatic, why it hurts, and what your brain is actually trying to tell you. Picture a moment when you first started comparing, maybe in school, maybe at work, maybe online. That moment didn't feel surprising. You might have thought, okay, just checking how I measure up, but that simple act set in motion something deeper. Human beings have always compared to survive. In ancient environments, comparing physical strength, resources, social alliances could actually protect you. Your brain evolved to notice who's stronger, faster, more skilled, because that mattered for survival. But the world we live in today is very different from the world of our ancestors. Now, comparisons show up everywhere, in social media, in achievements, in life milestones, in relationships, even in what we think success should look like. And our brain still treats these comparisons as important signals, even when they no longer serve us. Let's slow down and understand what's going on beneath the surface. Comparison isn't just a thought, it's a psychological process. When you compare yourself to someone, your brain is doing two things. It's evaluating your relative status, and it's updating your sense of self-worth based on that evaluation. In evolutionary psychology, this process is called social comparison, a mechanism that humans use to understand their position in the social world. But here's the twist, our brain doesn't naturally differentiate between constructive comparison, the kind that helps you learn or grow, and destructive comparison, the kind that erodes your self-esteem. So when you look at someone who seems to have more success, more beauty, more attention, your brain makes a rapid judgment, am I less than them? And if your brain says yes, that starts a cascade of emotions, envy, sadness, frustration, self-doubt, and sometimes even shame. Let's pause for a moment. Notice that this entire process happens inside your head, not in reality. It's happening because your brain is wired to evaluate and compare, not because you are inherently less worthy or less capable. Here's something important psychology teaches us. Comparison only becomes harmful when it starts defining your identity. If your sense of worth becomes tied to how you measure up to others, then you step outside of your own journey and place your self-value in someone else's story. But there's a subtle trap here, one most people never consciously notice. The trap is this: you think comparison gives you information about who you are, when really, it gives you information about how your brain reacts to perceived differences. Think about that for a second. When you compare yourself, what you're actually doing is measuring your current state against an idealized version of someone else's state. And often, you're not even measuring real life, you're measuring photos, achievements, highlights, curated moments, edited realities. Your brain interprets that as truth. This person is happy. This person is successful. This person has what I want. Even though what you're comparing is more often a fragment, a highlight reel, a snapshot. And that's where the trap tightens. Because when your brain equates comparison with truth, you start believing, I'm not enough. Why can't I be like them? I'm failing because I don't look like that, achieve that, live like that. And then your motivation goes from self-improvement to self-judgment. So let's ask the deeper question, why do you compare so often? It's not just a habit, it's an emotional need. Comparison is often a way to answer the question, do I matter? When you compare, you're actually trying to figure out, is my life valuable? But this is where the psychology gets interesting. Your self-worth is never determined by external comparison, it's shaped by internal meaning. Here's a powerful distinction. External comparison looks outward and asks, am I better than them? Internal comparison looks inward and asks, am I growing from who I was yesterday? Most people are stuck in the first, and that's where unhappiness thrives. Now you might be asking, okay, so how do I stop comparing? How do I break this cycle? We don't stop comparing overnight, after all. It's an automatic cognitive process. But we can transform how we relate to it. Here are 3 psychological shifts that make a huge difference. 1. Awareness over judgment. The first step isn't stopping the thought, it's noticing it. When you feel that pang of comparison, don't judge yourself. Just observe. Say to yourself, interesting. My brain is comparing right now. That simple awareness disconnects you from the emotional charge. 2. Reframe the meaning. Ask yourself, is this comparison helping me grow or hurting my self-worth? If it's helping you learn, great. If it's hurting you, let it go. 3. Redirect your focus. Instead of asking, why am I not like them? Ask, what can I learn from my own progress today? This shifts the focus from comparison to growth. The real psychology lesson here is this. Seedling comparison becomes harmful only when it replaces your own sense of value with someone else's standard. Your self-worth thrives not when you are better than others, but when you are authentically improving yourself. Comparison doesn't have to be your enemy, it just has to stop being the judge of your worth. So next time you feel that pull, notice it. Name it. Then gently bring your attention back to your own path. Because the more you define your value from within, the weaker the comparison trap becomes. And that's when something powerful happens. You start living your life not as a measure against others, but as a reflection of your own growth. And that's true psychological freedom. If you want more insights like this, subtle but powerful shifts in how your mind works, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new episode. Thanks for watching, and remember, your worth isn't measured by comparison, but by your own progress.